All right, good evening, everybody from all over the place, wherever you're from, the United States or the UK or South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Israel. There are people from all over Europe, France, people from all over that are going to be coming in tonight. And I want to welcome you to this webinar, which we have once a month on a specific topic. It's free, there's no charge, there's no catch. We're really on a mission to make the whole world well. And that is our information. If you want to get in more information about what we're doing and why we're doing it, it's info@wholeworldwell.com. If you have any questions, you want to ask us anything, you can email us there. If you have any questions tonight, you can type them onto the channel that you're viewing from. You can type your questions there and we will answer them as best as we can. Mark is on the questions and answers and he will fire away as soon as you ask the questions. As I said, our mission is to get the whole world well, and if that means every month we've got to have a webinar and try and reach as many people as possible, that's what we're up for. We're speaking tonight. It is firstly the 11th of March and it is 2021, and we're going to be speaking about parasites. Kind of a bit of a yucky subject, but it's something we have to talk about. It's something people don't want to talk about. If you mention to some people, they're like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It's better if I don't know. And it's not. Ignorance is not bliss. It never has been. Parasites can cause a huge array of diseases and conditions and make you really, really sick. In fact, there's several people have written books on what they believe is the main cause of cancer, which they say is parasites. I'm not saying it is, but we do know that parasites damage cells. And we know that damaged cells, when they multiply, is basically what cancer is. So this is a serious subject. It's a yucky subject. I'm going to tell you first what a parasite is, and then we're going to take a look at some of the most common ones, or some of the lots of names. Some people say over 300 different types of parasites, and some people say over 400. Either way, there's hundreds of parasites, and you don't want any of them in your body, okay? So we're going to talk about what it is, what kinds they do, where we find them, what your symptoms are, and how you can get rid of them as well, which is obviously the most important part, because you don't want to just start calling them names and say, hi, Joe, how are you? Once watched a movie called Joe's Apartment. You don't want to watch that. No parasites, but lots and lots of cockroaches, okay? So firstly, I don't need my glasses right now. What is a parasite? That's most important. What is it? It's an opportunistic organism that survives off the host. And I think that's important to realize, is that parasites live off you are the host, and they're living off you. And because they're living off you, they're robbing you of nutrients, they're doing damage to your body, and they shouldn't be in your body, okay? Very often people just don't even notice that anything's going on. They don't actually think there's anything wrong, but then weird things happen, like their nails grow weird and they go all ridged and they've got funny sort of patterns and white patches on them and stuff like that. Just recently, somebody from Canada said to me, "Kid, you know what's wrong with my nails?" And they had these ridges on and they were looking, and the oxygen flow to her hands was not great, and I suggested she took some herbs in the form of a supplement, that herbal fiber blend, because she doesn't have the stronger version, which is Para 90 with her in Canada. And literally in the space of like a month, she's taken another photograph, and you cannot believe the change in her nails. It hardly looks like the same person. And that's just a little thing like your nails, but they can cause some serious problems. I started taking parasites really seriously when I was older, and one of my best friends, Leslie Clem, said her mom was going in to have a brain tumor removed, and when they opened her up, they found it was a fist size. They said it was a tennis ball sized tumor. When they opened it up, it was a fist or tennis ball sized clump of tapeworm, and so that's what they removed from her brain. So we're going to find out how they get into your body. It's quite detailed, some of the stuff I'm going to give you. If you can't keep up with me, or you want to see the list in greater detail, just go to Wikipedia and type in types of parasites. It's a pretty accurate list. It's not all of them, but it's the main ones. And we're going to take a look at some of them, okay? So if you're feeling generally run down or have any symptoms that we talk about later on, then I would recommend that you go on a program for at least a month to get rid of parasites, okay? So I'm going to tell you what herbs they are. I'll tell you where I find my herbs, but you can go and grow them yourself and pick them. It's entirely up to you. I'm first going to take a look at what kinds of parasites there are out there and what they actually do to us. I mean, they've got wonderful names like acanthoamoeba or granulomatous amoebic encephalitis. What this does is it can cause problems in the brain, the skin, and the eye. And one of the ways to get this parasite into your body is contact lenses that are cleaned with contaminated tap water, which is not uncommon. If your water is not treated properly, then you don't kill all the fecal matter, for example, that's in it, because people do urinate in strange places and defecate in strange places, and it ends up water flows downhill into rivers, and then that's what gets there. Some people wash their clothes in rivers. Some people bathe in rivers. Some people swim and urinate in rivers. So you could be exposed to all kinds of things in rivers. So at the end of the day, what's important is to realize that you can be contaminated or be exposed to parasites anywhere, okay? So this particular one actually affects your eye, your brain, your skin, as I said. And there's a couple, they're in classes, and the classes that you get are things like endoparasites, and you get protozoan, you get helminths, which are worms, you get tapeworms, you get flukes, you get roundworms, and then there's other different organisms and ectoparasites, which are on the outside. We're talking about endoparasites, which are on the inside of your body, okay? You get granulomatous amoebic encephalitis, another version of it, also affects your brain, your skin. Sorry, that's a repeat. Babesiosis, which is from tick bites and affects your red blood cells. You get balantidiasis, which is ingestion of the cyst. Most common is from eating pork. If it's been contaminated with the pig feces, you never really quite know where the pig was killed or how it was killed. But it does affect the digestive tract. Blastocytis affects your intestine. It's from eating food contaminated with the feces from an infected human or an animal. Dientomoebiasis is intestines. It affects your digestive tract, and it's from drinking water or food contaminated with feces. There's just, I mean, I can go down these lists, things like Giardia lamblia is actually the easier way to pronounce it. You find that by ingesting water, for example, containing deer or beaver feces, and that will affect your digestive tract, okay? So there's a whole lot. Some of them, for example, I'm not going to mention all of them. You get from sandflies, some you get from nasal inhalation, contaminated of warm, fresh water, poorly chlorinated swimming pools, and hot springs and soil. Malaria is a parasite that is an ectoparasite. It's outside, but it does infect you inside, okay? So although it's outside, it infects you inside, and that can cause problems with your liver and your red blood cells. Rhinosporidiosis, which you get from infected material through bathing and common ponds. And then you start to get to the serious ones that can cause some serious problems like sarcocytosis, ingestion of undercooked or uncooked beef or pork, which is common. People order a rare beef at a restaurant, for example, and that'll infect your intestines and your muscles. And then you get trichomoniasis, which is sexually transmitted from one person to the other, and that can affect your urinary tract, particularly the female urinary tract. There's things like sleeping sickness from the tsetse fly, which most of us don't get to, but the worms we're coming up to, and those are the ones that you get from eating raw, fresh fish. If I start to read them out, tapeworm is a common one, and then there's another tapeworm, which is ingestion of material contaminated by feces from a carnivore, as in uncooked meat can get it, and also from eating offal. So if you eat undercooked meat, and you eat offal from a herbivore, like if you eat chicken liver or beef liver or kidneys or anything like that from an animal, you get where's another beef tapeworm, obviously from undercooked beef, and then you get another one, Taenia solium, which is from undercooked pork, and then you get Bertilliosis from being in contact with non-human primates. Aren't primates human? Non-human? I suppose humans form into that, okay? You get Spirometra, which is ingestion from infected dog or cat feces. Very easy to do that if you have dogs or cats living in your in your home, because you may walk on the lawn and get it on your foot, and then you touch it and you don't think about it, and it could be just traces. It's going to make you really kind of neurotic. Don't get neurotic. You can get rid of these. I'm not suggesting you get rid of your cats and your dogs, but you do need to clear the area of the feces that are lying on the lawn and put them at least into the flower beds where nobody walks, hopefully. There's just there's chloronochiasis, which affects your gallbladder, inflammation of the liver, lancet liver fluke, gallbladder, and this is that one's from eating ants, by the way. You might think, what the heck, who would eat an ant? But it's kind of a thing that teenagers do. I've seen them do it. They like dare each other to eat ants. Not a smart thing to do, okay? You can get parasites from them. You can get them from liver fluke, you get from freshwater snails. Phaseolopsiasis you get from water plants or amoebic snails, can cause vomiting and diarrhea. Lung fluke you can get from ingesting of undercooked freshwater crabs, crayfishes, or other crustaceans. There's other ones from eating raw or slightly salted or frozen fish. Bilharzia you get from skin exposure. That's another one altogether. But a lot of these are affecting intestinal schistosomiasis, is skin exposure to water contaminated with freshwater snails. The list is pretty much endless. Ingestion of raw fish, squid, cuttlefish, and octopus. Infected feces or infected slugs, it just goes on, and it causes allergic reactions. Some of them cause appendicitis, some cause liver problems, pancreas, lungs, Loeffler syndrome, eyes, subcutaneous tissues, muscles, intestines, anus, lungs, eyes. It goes on and on and on and on. It's just we don't have time to read all of these, but you can go onto, as I said, Wikipedia and look at the list of parasites that are found in humans. Go list of parasites in humans, and then you can go from there. You don't want to know all these names. I'm sure you don't want to know them specifically. But really what we want to know is, what do they do? Okay, what do parasites do to us, right? So really the first thing is to see, you may not have any symptoms, and you may only get symptoms when you start taking something to get rid of them. Most of the medication I took as a child, my mother used to sort of deworm us every now and again, and we would take some tablets for 3 to 5 days, and then that would be it. The ridiculous thing is that most medication that you take for 3 to 5 days is probably going to kill 3 to 5 parasites, different types of parasites. If you want to kill all 300 to 400 of the parasites, you need some serious herbal combinations, and I'll tell you what they are now. And what you need to do is to take them solidly for 30 days. And the reason for that is, when you kill them on a 3 to 5 day course, all you're killing is the adults. You're not killing the eggs. You can't kill them. They've got to hatch first. So if you're taking something for 30 days, which most medication that you take from a pharmacy for parasites, you can't take for 30 days. It can cause some damage to the digestive tract and possibly the kidneys and the liver. So you need to read the side effects of medication that you might be taking for it. But what we do know is that if you're taking the combination of herbs and you take it for 30 days, it literally kills the eggs as they hatch. So you take the herbs 3 times a day, and it just literally kills them as they hatch. And in 30 days, you've killed every known parasite and every potential egg that has hatched. And so you know that you don't have them then. I do recommend that if you are a meat eater, you need to, or chicken or fish eater, especially if you eat sushi, you need to do a parasite cleanse at least 2 to 3 times a year. I would recommend that every 3 to 4 months that you do that, or every 2 to 3 months. If you are a vegan, you could probably do it once a year, and vegetarian, I'd say twice a year. It's just that you're exposed to a lot more parasites when you eat animal products. It's just a fact, sadly. But you're still exposed to parasites even if you're vegan, because a lot of them get into you from the soil. There could be dog or cat feces. You may be a wonderful animal lover and you have a lot of animals and you're exposed to their feces, and you can be exposed to them. They can get under your nails. They can get into a little cut in your foot or a little cut in your finger. You could be having your dog lick your hand and you've got a cut on your finger and you're exposed to animal feces like that. It's just so easy. So it's something you need to work into your program. I know on our 365 My Year of Health program, which is an entire year that I take people onto a program and base it on 12 pillars and 12 body systems, you really get to know and trust your body and see how it actually can heal and repair itself. On that program, we do 4 detox programs a year. We do one in March, one in June, one in September, and one in December. And those are a change of seasons and mid-season. And when you do that, when you do a detox like that, you're more likely to get rid, and you can take the herbs every time you detox for a 30-day period. You could do it at that time from the middle of, or 21st of March to the 21st of April, for example, and you basically finished. You've got rid of your parasites, and you can do that. And it's a great thing to do. It's nice to do it in a group because you're reminded. I know that partly why I'm doing it is because I like detoxing regularly, because I find that when I do that, Mark and I don't get sick at all. We haven't had any doctor's bills for over 30 years. And we like to detox from just giving your body a break, the stress of life, the pollution, and also from parasites. I do work in the garden. I work with compost. We have animals on our property. I walk barefoot sometimes on the grass to discharge all my positive ions, and it makes you feel very relaxed when you do that. And so I could easily be exposed to feces on any level, or to insects and worms and parasites in soil or wherever. Mosquitoes, flies, they're there, and those are some of the ways we get exposed to. There's quite a few parasites we get exposed to via mosquitoes, and several through flies as well. Some through fly bites, and some through flies just sitting on your food. And honestly, if you get neurotic about it and you start like sealing up your house and you're not letting anything in there, and you have no animals and you don't want to go out, it doesn't make sense. You need to live a life. Now, your immune system can defend you from a lot of parasites, but you need to take herbs, as I say, regularly, somewhere between 1 and 3 to 4 or 2 to 3 times a year. It's entirely up to you and how much raw fish and animal products you eat in your diet. So some doctors actually estimate that over 90% of people suffer from parasite infestation. I'd probably say it's maybe even closer to 100. Unless you lived, as I say, in a sealed room and you never go out of it, and you're never exposed to anything like that. You're never exposed to anything in nature. And even if you live in a huge big city, most people go away to a lake or a river in their holidays, and even to the sea. And they might eat some shellfish or some fish, and they could be exposed to it, okay? So as I said, there's various types. They're common names that most people know, things like tapeworm, which is usually from eating animal flesh, hookworm from soil or sand, so you've got to wash even your organically grown produce, pinworm from not washing your hands and touching almost anything, flukes, and a host of other lesser-known parasites. But there are many of them, as I said, estimated up to 300 or 400 of them. So how do you know if you've got parasites? As I said, some people don't have any symptoms, and I recommend that you just do a parasite cleanse at least once a year. If you don't think you've got them, at least, as I say, once a year. The signs of parasites could be that you just have inexplicable diarrhea. It just comes and goes. Typically, irritable bowel syndrome could be a sign of parasites, because people can go from constipation to diarrhea. That could be a sign. You may have this gnawing feeling in your stomach, which if you put your fist down here, just under your ribs, between your ribs, kind of where your ribs open up, underneath your rib cage, right in the middle, you get that kind of gnawing feeling in your stomach, and people think it's because they're hungry. That ain't hunger. Those are hungry parasites. That is common. It's a common sign that you have parasites. When you do a parasite cleanse, that stops happening, okay? Unless you're reinfesting yourself with raw fish all over again the next day. You go on a Para-90 cleanse for 3 days, and then you parasite cleanse, and then you go and have some sushi on day 31. So you're just putting them straight back, and you'll get that gnawing. And I can tell you, I had that most of my life, that I remember having this gnawing feeling and thinking I was hungry. True hunger is actually felt in the back of your throat, and you probably only feel it after 3 days of not having any food at all. Very few people in westernized countries know what true hunger is. It's not a pain in your stomach. That is a gnawing feeling. It's from parasites, most probably. You could have an appetite that's completely out of control. You just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. or you have absolutely no appetite. You can go from one extreme to the other, and that can be an indication of parasites. You could suffer from weight loss or weight gain. It suggests, because it affects your weight or loss or gain, that the parasites are actually affecting your endocrine system. And they could very well be doing that, because the endocrine system controls everything from immune function to liver function to lung function. And parasites affect liver and lungs. The endocrine system controls your brain. It affects everything in your body. So I'd suggest, if you have a weight problem, you're underweight or overweight, that you do get rid of parasites. Parasites also can cause anemia. It's very low levels of iron in the body. They can cause mild gastrointestinal bleeding, and you can just lose like a teaspoon of blood a day in the digestive tract. But it's a known side effect. If you're anemic and your iron levels are low, I usually recommend that you go onto a program for 30 days and get rid of your parasites. Vitamin B12 deficiency. Now, there's a myth that vegans are the only people that have a B12 deficiency. But in fact, if you look at the studies, 40% of meat eaters, 40% of chicken eaters, 40% of fish eaters, 40% of vegetarians that eat dairy products, those that only eat eggs, and even vegans, 40% across the board suffer from a vitamin B12 deficiency. And that points not to a dietary, it's not about what you're eating necessarily, although if you're eating more animal protein, you're probably exposed to a lot more parasites, and that can cause a vitamin B12 deficiency. But what a vitamin B12 deficiency, this independent science actually shows categorically that vitamin B12 deficiency is a direct indication that your digestive tract is not working properly. And one of the main causes, or one of the big causes of digestion, your digestive tract not working properly, is that you have parasites, okay? So if you have a B12 deficiency and it's shown up on tests and nothing's changing it, I would get rid of the parasites. And then you find, and give your body a bit of a digestive rest, maybe a couple of 1 to 3 days of fasting or just juicing, getting onto one of our 365 detox programs, just for a 3-day period, gives your digestive tract a rest and a break so that it can repair itself. If there's gastrointestinal bleeding that can cause anemia, for example, you need to rest so that the stomach can repair itself. Your stomach does fix itself if you give it a break. If you never give it a break and you're just eating all day long, it's not going to fix itself. Doesn't matter what medication you're going to take. That's all that's going to do is suppress symptoms. You need to rest your stomach and stop any food going for a period of time between 1 and 3 days, longer if it's a serious problem. All right. What we're talking specifically about, parasites. So let me get back there. Rectal itching is a very common sign of parasites. You scratch your anus and you itchy, particularly at night. And it's a strange thing. People can have a nice bath and they get out of the bath, and the next thing they're scratching, itching. And they're like, but I've just had a bath. That's common, that the parasites tend to come out at night. That's what they do. They come and take a look around. It sounds awful, but I remember when I was a kid, I was staying with my friend, and her mother used to come with a torch at night and inspect their bottoms. She'd sort of prise it open a little bit and check out. And if she saw any parasites coming out, usually tapeworm would come out, stick its eyes or little nose out there. And then she'd put them straight onto a deworming medication the next day for a week. And then it would be a little while later, she'd go around looking again. It sounds quite awful in this day and age of child abuse. I doubt whether anybody's going to want to do that. Just put your kids on the herbs and get rid of the parasites anyway. You don't have to look for them. You don't have to look for them in the stools. You don't have to look anywhere for them. You just need to make sure that you are getting rid of them on a regular basis. All right, so where are we? Right, we're rectal itching, especially at night. Tooth grinding. Oh, my word. How many children do you know and adults do you know? Have you woken up and your partner is lying next to you and they're grinding their teeth? Children grind their teeth, and children are exposed to a lot of parasites from animals, other children digging in the sand. You can't stop kids playing outdoors. So I recommend that you do the parasite cleanse with them between 1 and 3 or possibly 4 times a year. All right, so tooth grinding, nose picking, always having something in your nose. There's always something tickling you in your nose, and you're like getting rid of it. When I've done a para-90 cleanse, you'll find your nose will be clear for sometimes months after that. Bloating. very bloated tummy, gas, even after you've changed your diet and you're eating carefully and you're not mixing proteins and starches. If there's gas for no reason, that's a common sign that there are parasites. All right, where are we? Nausea, fever, for no explained reason, just suddenly get a fever. Kids get it. They get a fever and it goes away. That's very common of parasites. A rash, an unexplained rash. You can't explain it. I had somebody telling me they had a rash on their tummy, below their belly button. And she actually sent me the photograph. And she said, could this be parasites? I said it could. She went on to the Para 90. And within a week, the rash was gone. Just gone. Strange rashes. Where are we? Irritable bowel syndrome. We've mentioned constipation, diarrhea, joint and muscle pain. Very common problem is joint and muscle pain. Anybody who has aching knees or aching joints, it may not be arthritis, and it could very well be parasites. Bad breath. Can't explain. You just got this continual bad breath. Water retention or fluid retention, which will affect your weight. If you're retaining water, you can hold up to 10 kilograms or even more, which is more than 20 pounds of excess weight just from retaining water. Allergies and food sensitivities, sugar cravings, mental confusion, fatigue or tiredness, foul-smelling stools or feces, heartburn or indigestion, headaches, bedwetting, nervousness, sleep disturbances, ridges on your nails, and weird growing nails, okay? All right. Where am I? Right. Really, all this indicates is that your immune and your endocrine system has been affected, and who knows what will happen in the long term. And that's one of the reasons, because it affects your immune system, it's one of the reasons why many people believe that parasites contribute. Some people think it contributes, and some people categorically state that it actually causes cancer. I think it's a combination of a whole lot of things, but parasites are not going to help you get healthy or stay healthy. So how can they actually harm you? I mean, those are just the signs of what you've got. How can they actually harm you? Okay, they destroy cells faster than new cells can be regenerated, and this is why people say it contributes or possibly causes cancer, that you can't renew your cells fast enough when you have parasites. It will also contribute to premature aging. So you can see somebody is 60 who looks 85 and somebody 60 looks 40, and that difference could be, it could be smoking, it could be that they consume large quantities of alcohol and their diet's shocking, but it could just be parasites, okay? It can produce waste products, toxic waste products, and this will irritate body tissues. They can invade body tissues, including skin and intestinal lining. Parasites can put pressure on internal organs. It can depress your immune system function, while activating immune system response, resulting in autoimmune diseases such as lupus, arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and even diabetes. Parasites can cause nutrient malabsorption, contributing to eating disorders and nutritional deficiencies. And that can be in children, adults, it can be in small children, all the way up to elderly people, okay? You can suffer from abdominal pain, myositis, that's an inflammatory condition. Constipation, we've already mentioned, anemia, anorexia, vitamin B12 deficiency, rectal hemorrhaging. So something like piles or hemorrhoids, it would contribute to that. This urea, which has to do with urinating, infecting your ability to urinate. Central nervous system impairment, chest pains, chills, chronic fatigue, colitis. Again, anything that ends with an itis is an inflammatory condition. Coughing, diarrhea, digestive disturbances, dizziness, fever. Enlargement of various organs, like an enlarged liver, enlarged kidneys, even an enlarged heart. Headaches, vaginitis, again, inflammation, inflammatory. Jaundice, joint pain, weight loss, weakness, immunodeficiency, nausea and vomiting. Swelling of the facial features, when you've got a puffy look to your face, very often people find their face looks much slimmer and more, you can actually see your cheekbones when they've got rid of parasites. Sweating, insomnia, skin ulcers, and rectal prolapse. In other words, the rectum actually falls out of your body. It actually collapses. Mental problems, lung congestion, memory loss, night sweats, muscle spasms, hair loss, and thinning. You know, if you look at the list of what parasites can do to the body, you actually begin to think that maybe all diseases are caused from parasites. And maybe that's what we should be doing before we do anything else, is get rid of the parasites before we go and have any more tests, take any more medication, have any more operations. Just get rid of the parasites first. You may save yourself a huge amount of time and money. So in some people, as I said, intestinal worms do not cause any clear symptoms, or the symptoms may come and go. You can get this irritable bowel syndrome that comes and goes, or some days you feel very tired. If you have any of these symptoms, it doesn't mean that you are necessarily infected, but the symptoms can be other diseases as well. But very common signs of parasites, the most common complaints are coughing. It's this tickle in the back of the throat, cramping, abdominal pain, bloating, flatulence, and diarrhea. Some parasites can cause low blood cell count, and some travel from the lungs to the intestine, or from the intestine to the lungs and other parts of the body. Many other conditions can result, okay? In children, irritability and restlessness are commonly reported by parents. Now, that's an interesting thing, because if you took all these children that are diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, which is basically irritability and restlessness, and you got rid of the parasites, who knows? They might all be able to focus. So what can you do to get rid of them, okay? Here's what you can do to get rid of them. The variety of medications that you can take from your local pharmacies, and you can ask your doctor about that. But as I said, it doesn't normally get rid of, it only gets rid of the adult parasites, and usually not all of them. It just can't kill all of them. It can kill certain groups. So you may have to take 7 different types of drugs, and usually they're for about 5 to 7 days. Some of them are only 3 days, but you are not going to get rid of the eggs. The best herbs to use, and this is recorded on our YouTube channel, and I recommend that you subscribe to it so that you can be notified when this video is actually live and you can go and watch it. But I'm going to read the names of these herbs. You can collect your own, you can buy your own, or what I do is take a capsule that's got all of these in it, and I'll tell you a bit more about that. American worm seed, black walnut hulls, boldo leaves, butternut bark, clove, cramp bark, garlic, grapefruit seed, kamala, male fern root, neem, peppermint, pumpkin seed, sweet Annie, that's from the Artemisia family, which is also known to protect against malaria. People often ask, can you take these herbs for malaria? Yes, you can. And in fact, when we go into malaria areas, Mark and I usually take the Para90. Actually, I find when you eat a whole food plant-based diet, mosquitoes don't actually like the taste of you. They'll buzz around your head for a while and they'll disappear. They don't like your smell. They don't like your taste. They'll nip you, but you don't get a proper mosquito bite. It's like a nip, and then 5 minutes later it's gone. It's like you can almost hear the mosquito like choking and coughing and spluttering like, this one's a vegan. Don't go near it. But I used to get bitten. Mark and I used to get bitten really badly when we ate animal products, like having big sores where you scratched and it would get infected. It was horrible. So one of the benefits of eating a whole food plant-based diet is that you could find that you don't have any mosquitoes biting you. All right, so what else is there? Sweet Annie, mentioned, and thyme and white oak bark, okay? So I take a product called Para90, which you take 1 capsule every day for 30 days. And so there's 90, it's called Para90 because there's 90 in a bottle. So each adult gets their own bottle and they take that. With children between the ages of 1, children have to be able to swallow the capsule because the herbs taste disgusting. So unless you drizzling them in honey, from the age of 5 and below, a child would take 1 capsule a day. From 5 to 13, you would take 2 capsules a day, and 13 above, you would take 3 capsules. You take them throughout the day. I know what Mark's going to say straight after this. We are doing Para90. We are, and it starts on the 21st of March when we do our detox with a 369 group. All right. They're all found in a product called Para90. If you have a facilitator and you've been invited here by somebody else, you can go back to the somebody else and you can you'd go back to the somebody else and you actually ask them to tell you how you can get this product at the wholesale price. Because believe me, I don't know about you, I hate paying full price for anything. I always ask for discounts. If you don't ask, you're going to get nothing. If you ask and people say no, but in this case, you can buy it at the wholesale price, okay? So you can There's also another product that contains a lot of those herbs, not all of them, and it's called Herbal Fiber Blend. And you can take that initially if you've got it and you're not ready to take the Para-90. You can take that on a regular basis daily. It helps to keep the parasitic infection pretty low. It doesn't get rid of all of them, but it reduces it considerably. And then it's almost easier to do the Para-90 after you've been on that Herbal Fiber Blend for a month, because you don't have such a strong reaction to the Para-90. You've got rid of half of them and now you're getting rid of the rest. There are other foods that you can eat that'll help. Things like the garlic and onion family get rid of parasites, but they need to be eaten raw. And when they're eaten raw, they've got a natural antibiotic, so they can upset the digestive tract. There is garlic in the Para-90, for example, and that's why I also recommend taking your natural intestinal bacteria. I use a product called Flora Food. Same people that do the Para-90, it's one of the best probiotics I've found. And what that does is help to correct the friendly bacteria as these parasites are dying in your digestive tract. So other foods you can eat, as I said, is raw garlic and onion, but you do need to take Flora Food while you're doing that, because it can upset your friendly bacteria. Other foods are pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, carrots. Fresh and dried figs can help to get rid of parasites as well. A lot of your fruits and your nuts and your seeds can actually help, but those are the most powerful ones that we know of. Okay, where am I? All right, so how do you know that this stuff is working, okay? Sometimes you feel nothing. And you're on day 5 and you suddenly feel overwhelmed with tiredness and you just want to go to sleep and you can't understand it. You're like, I had 8 hours sleep last night. What's wrong with me? The very first time Mark and I took Para-90, we were living in Stellenbosch, which is a bit further away from the beach than we are now. And we were working in the office. We worked from home and we looked at each other and we said, oh my word, this is ridiculous. My brain's not working. And I went and looked at some of the side effects of some of the herbs, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's doing. It's making us really, really tired, because these things are dying in our body. All these creatures are dying inside our body, and it's making us overwhelmed with tiredness. But we didn't want to just lie down. It was a really hot day. So we drove ourselves to the beach, and we sat on the beach. We were too tired to even get into the water. We just sat there, and we stared at the sea, I don't know, for like an hour or two. And then we said, okay, let's go home. And then we were kind of over the worst. And the next day we were fine. The other feeling that people tell me, they get a sort of pokey feeling in their abdomen or in their liver area. Your liver's on the right-hand side, just underneath the bottom of your ribs there, under your rib cage. I said to them, what do you mean pokey? They say it feels like somebody's inside you and poking you from the inside out. Now, Mark and I have had that on a couple of times we've taken it, and it's an interesting feeling. It is that sort of feeling like something's poking you. Once when we were on Para-90, Mark had this strange, we actually went onto it because he had this strange lump on his back that was moving around. And he said, what the heck? It would change shape. It would get pointy and go flat, and it would move around. So I said, well, the only thing I know we can do is Para-90. And about 5 days on the Para-90, he woke up one morning. These are the horror stories. I've heard worse, believe me. These are mild. And he always sleeps in a white cotton T-shirt. And the cotton T-shirt had these spots on the back, like watery sort of pink spots, like water and blood mixed, but not a lot of blood. And I said, what the heck is this? There were lots all over. And I lifted his T-shirt and he had this hole. It was about that big in his back. It was just this hole. And I leapt out of bed. I'm like, oh my word, something's come out of your body. I didn't find anything, but I put those sheets into the washing machine on boil. And his clothing, his bed, everything came off. And it was the only time I've had people tell me that they've had parasites emerge from their skin. And that would frighten me. But if it does happen, just say, yippee, hooray, good riddance to bad rubbish, and flush it down in the bathroom, in the toilet. All right, so where are we? I don't think this on this writing is big enough. All right. Okay, so where are we? Pokey feeling. Oh, you can have your skin itching for no reason, or your skin feels like something's crawling on it. You ever had that feeling, like a crawly spiders on your skin and there's nothing there? That's a common feeling that they are coming out. Headaches you can have, excessive mucus, and that's one of the reasons you can cough a lot when they're coming out. You've got all this mucus. Your body produces mucus to transport waste products out of the body. You can be nauseous. That could be that the parasites are affecting your liver, and you could suffer from extreme tiredness and other symptoms, okay? You may also experience more frequent bowel movements. I know when we first took it, we spent the first 3 days in the bathroom, and then we were fine. So your stools get looser and increased urination. You might find yourself urinating more. It could indicate that it's parasites in the urinary tract or in the kidneys. Some people feel pain. Actually, I've had people feel a pain in their liver area. One girl was so bad, she stopped the Para 90, and then 3 months later, she went back on it again and with a very mild pain. And the following time she did Para 90, there was no pain whatsoever. So parasites can get into any part of your body. So it could have got there, okay? So I recommend you take Flora Food and Para 90 for a 30-day period. It's pointless if you take it and your partner's not taking it or the children aren't taking it, because you're all going to hug and kiss each other and touch each other's plates and knives and forks. So what you need to do is make sure that you are all on it in the family, in your immediate family, okay? Try and encourage your friends and extended family as well, because that way you know you're going to stay parasite-free for longer. Tap water, I would filter. I would definitely filter it. I'd get a good filtration system, or you could use spring water. You could use that. Spring water has been sterilized usually with UV rays, which kills any bug or bacteria or virus in the water, so it's usually pretty safe. Where are we? What I do recommend as well is if you find your digestive tract still a bit gassy and you're taking the Flora Food and the herbal fiber blend, what you need to do is eat quite a lot more fruit, because fruit's got water-soluble fiber. If not, eating fruit's not quite for you, then I recommend that you take Fit and Fiber, which is water-soluble fiber. And what water-soluble fiber in Fit and Fiber or in fresh fruit does is it feeds the probiotics. So it makes the probiotics, the good bacteria, multiply so that the bad bacteria can get nailed by them, okay? So if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, ideally you shouldn't be taking Para 90. Not for any other reason that parasites can emerge from strange places. And I would take herbal fiber blend to get rid of them. You can take herbal fiber blend. Sometimes can make the milk taste a little bit weird, and so your baby may go off your milk, and that you don't want happening. So I usually recommend that when you finish breastfeeding that you get rid of parasites. But if you can handle herbal fiber blend and it does nothing to your milk and the baby doesn't refuse your breast, then go ahead, okay? Where are we? All right. Where can you get the Para 90 and the Flora Food and the herbal fiber blend? The person that invited you tonight, you contact them and ask them where you can get it. Get it at the wholesale price. It's the best way to get it. If you didn't have anybody invite you and it came from our newsletter, then contact info@wholeworldwell.com. Wholeworldwell.com is our new website address for information for people who want to know more about our programs. We have a 30-day detox program, and you can do the Para 90 on that. We have 100 Days to Health, which many of you have done in the past, but it's now supervised. You have a facilitator who you're in touch with, either with WhatsApp or a Facebook group or any other social media group. And you get to meet with me every single week. On the 30 days, we do that on Monday nights. I meet with you for at least an hour, and you ask questions. You tell us your wonderful stories. Excuse me, I'm thirsty. On Tuesday nights, we do the 100 Days to Health support group, where we ask questions and people tell their success stories and their struggles. And you also have a support group from that. And then on Wednesday night, we have the 365, My Year of Health. I think of the 100 days and the 30 days as the top of the iceberg, and the 365 is the below that. You've finished the 100 days, or you're already on a healthy diet, but you need to be part of a community that's moving in a direction. Then the ideal thing to do is to join the 365. And when you're on the 365, you have the same. You have support from me, not just for 100 days or 30 days, but for 365 days, you have a facilitator and a group supporting you. But for 52 weeks of that year, you get to ask me questions, and so if you're wanting to ask questions, I do not consult privately. And if you email and ask a whole lot of questions about your health, we will feed you into one of the systems, because helping you once off never works. You go off and you do a couple of things and you just feel overwhelmed and you're like, I can't do this. If we're going to help you, get into a group so that we can help you on an ongoing basis so you can get through what you're doing. I think of one person, Linda in particularly, that I think of, but we've seen this with several people. Some people just start responding after 2 days on the programs, and they're starting to feel better, and some after a week, and some after 10 days, and some after 30 days. But Linda, she did the 100 days to health, and nothing changed. Linda did the 30 days. The 30 days. Oh, she was on the 30-day program. That's what she was on. She was on the 30-day program, 30-day detox. She just was so constipated. She couldn't lose weight. Her libido was a mess. Her thyroid was in a mess. And I said to her, look, I tweaked her program a little bit so that she ate a lot more raw food. She got into that. She went in another 30 days. And then she did another 15 days. On day 45, I think it was, I might be misquoting her, 45, her bowels started to work on their own without needing a saline solution. And it just started working, and now it works. Every time she eats, she needs to go and have a bowel movement, which is exactly what it should be. It's not that you're getting rid of what you've just eaten, but eating stimulates the peristaltic movement, and your bowels want to empty. That's a normal thing. Every time you have a meal, your bowels are going to empty, okay? So her bowels started to move spontaneously on their own. And by day 65, she started losing weight at that point as well. I think she's lost altogether about 9 or 10 kilograms. And the other thing that's happened is that her libido has come back. Now she's done a whole lot of other things, but that's part of the program as well, is exercise, natural light, and stuff like that. So it's not just diet. But on the 365, I walk the path with you so that you don't stray. It's easy to do 30-day detox. How do you stay healthy? What do you do when you come off the 100 days and you've been getting these emails and you've been motivated? Now what do you do? Because you can't keep coming to the program once you finish the 30 days or the 100 days. But on the 365, you come every week for a year to ask questions of me, and every day you are in touch with your facilitator or your group to share your successes, ask questions. And that's what people need, is support. So contact your facilitator or the person who invited you here tonight so you can find out more, or contact Claudia. You go to info@wholeworldwell.com and she will send you the information so you know exactly how you can get onto these programs. So I just want to encourage you to get healthy, to stay healthy. I think the most valuable thing you can do right now is not invest in Bitcoin. It's not stash water and oil underground. It's to get healthy. You can do all kinds of things. I mean, I meet people that have got huge amounts of money, but they don't have any health. And if you don't have your health, what's the money worth? If you're walking around in difficulty, we met a man a little week or so ago, and Mark met him, and this man has absolutely millions, tens of millions in the bank. But he is morbidly obese. He's unable to find clothes that fit him, so the clothes he's wearing are like not in great shape. He has terrible body odor because it's too difficult for him to get into a shower or into a bath. And he's just living this, literally can't even get to the bathroom to get rid of urine. He smells of urine. And this is a very, very, everybody knows this man's very wealthy. So he has, what have you got if you don't have your health? What have you got? Because you could die tonight in your serious condition. And what we do on the programs and what we help you with is not, I'm not your guru, and I don't want to be your guru. What I do want to do is help you take charge of your own body. Your body is capable of repairing itself, and it will do it if you create the right environment. And that's what we do. We get you onto the programs, or encourage you to get onto the programs so that your body can repair itself. And it does it beautifully. It repairs your tonsils, it repairs your skin, it repairs your nails, it repairs your hair, it repairs your heart, it repairs your liver. I've seen people with liver cancer and it repairs their liver. I've seen people with all kinds of cancers and their bodies repair, okay? Your body can repair itself if you give it the right environment in which to do, and you give it the right tools, which is the right nutrients. It's not that complicated. And when you get onto the programs, you start understanding your body and you start to respect it a lot more. And it's a lot easier to treat your body with the respect that it is needed. And so I'd like to encourage you, get rid of your parasites if that's all you're doing, but at the same time, get healthy. Our mission at Whole World Well is to make sure that we reach at least 1 million people. I worked out that if I had to reach 1 million people, if I could reach 1,000 people every month for a year, that's 12,000. If we multiplied that by 10, it would be 120,000. And if we multiplied that by another 8 or 10 years, I might reach 1 million. That's like 20 years. I've been doing this for 30 years, and we've probably reached 1 million people over the years, but not with a program where they're getting the support and they can actually feel like they're getting somewhere. People read a book, they get onto the program, they get healthy. I get these emails all the time, especially now in these new groups. I bought your book 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I got on the program. I felt marvelous. And then I fell off the bus about 10 years ago. And now I've got cancer, or I've put on weight, or I'm really in a bad way. My hormones are in a mess. How can I get back on the program? Or they get back on one of our programs and they say this is the best thing that's ever happened to them. So we're wanting to reach 1 million people, but I can't do it without you. So I need you to all get well, and then tell everybody else how you got well. And then you get them help them as well. That's the only way we're going to do it. And Mark and I firmly believe that if we help make the whole world well, and I know it's idealistic, but we've got to start somewhere. We've had hundreds join us on these programs, heading towards thousands, but we need to speed it up, because if we could help people get well, people would think more clearly, they would drive more carefully, they would treat more people with respect and kindness, because when your brain is clear and you're not irritable and you're not in pain all the time, it's easy to be nicer to other people. But if you're in pain and there's inflammation and you're not sleeping at night and you get up and you're ratty and irritated and you can't think, your memory is being affected, well, you're just not going to be the nicest person to be around. And I know that Mark and I would be divorced by now, because I was not a nice person to be around until I changed my diet. I was bipolar. I used to trash my husband with words and trash the house physically and break things. I have become a much nicer person since I've become healthy. And that's why we're on this mission, because we know that if I could change, anybody could change. I've had people say their marriage has been saved when they've changed their diet. So yeah, we're pretty idealistic. We're here to help you if you need help. Hop onto the website or onto the email and get hold of Claudia, or talk to your facilitator and find out how you can actually become part of a community, part of our tribe, and we will support you in whatever way we can. All right, I'm going to say thank you for letting me be part of this evening in your life. I hope you've learned something valuable. Are there any questions, Mark, that I need to be answered that you maybe not have been able to?
Not yet, but someone asked me before it started about bilharzia.
Okay, somebody started before about bilharzia. Bilharzia is a parasite that lives in water, and it can get into your skin, and it can cause a whole lot of problems, particularly problems with the kidneys and the liver. And it was one of those parasites actually listed. Any parasite responds, getting rid of any parasite, any type of parasite responds very well to Para 90, and getting on the herbal fiber blend or onto those herbs. You don't have to buy the products. You can just grow your own herbs and use those. So they respond very well. As I said, even things like malaria, I've had people that have had malaria and they've used the Para 90. And people going into malaria areas. So it's not a bad idea that if you're going into a place where you could be getting into river water, it's a lot more common in South Africa than it is, or in Africa, than on any other continent. And so I would recommend taking something like Para 90 on an ongoing basis if you're either living in that area. So maybe you wouldn't take 3 a day, but at least you take 3 a day for a month, and then you would just be taking 1 a day every day to make sure that anything got into your body died as it got in. So I do know that it has helped. We also know that boosting your immune system with a healthy diet helps as well. You've got to get your immune system on track, because very often people get bilharzia and they're treated with it and it's just stubborn. It just won't go. But building up the immune system with a healthy diet makes a big difference. So I have seen people recover from chronic bilharzia that they've not been able to get rid of by using the Para 90 and changing their diets. Any other questions, Mark? All right. I'm going to say good night, stay well, and I'll see you in a month's time. We'll be doing another talk on another subject, and we'll let you know about that as soon as we can. Thank you very much for your time. Good night.